Detroit Prep Artists, it's Miss Jillian here. I am going to be taking you through the steps for your Better World Day poster. Here's an example right here. Take a quick look at it and we'll get started. For a Better World Day poster, you're going to need a couple of different materials. The first thing that you're going to need is a piece of paper to write your poster on or to create your poster on. You'll need an eraser, a pencil, a ruler if you have one. If you don't have one, that's totally okay. You need something though this is an envelope that will help you to draw straight lines, and you can use it as a straight edge tracer. The other thing that you're going to need before you get started is you're going to need to choose what positive message you're going to include on your poster. So you can choose an inspirational quote. I chose one in my example by Nelson Mandela the way it goes is, "It is in your hands to create a better world for all who live in it." You could also, if you didn't want to choose a quote, you could choose a positive message like be kind or thank you or anything like that. You could also choose something mindful. So a mindful message. So inspirational quote, kind thing to say, positive message, or mindful message. The purpose of our posters is to create them, to make them really beautiful, and to hang them in our window for Better World Day, just as a way to communicate to our community a positive message. So as I said before, in my original example, I did a quote. For this one, I'm going to do a little bit of mindfulness. And the mindful thing that I'm going to write down is the word breathe, because I think that's a really important way to be mindful is to make sure that you're taking deep breaths if you're feeling anxious or upset or stressed out. So I'm going to start out using my pencil. I'm going to make sure that my paper is oriented vertically, and I'm going to be using my straight edge tracer. And I would like my word breathe to be big and to go right here. I also want to make sure that it is level and not going up at a slant, which is how I tend to write. I'm going to move this out of the way. This is kind of when I'm drawing with Sharpie to protect my surface, but it's making my paper stick up in a weird way. Okay, so I'm going to draw my straight line to be a guideline for where my word is going to go. I'm going to draw lightly, and again, making sure my paper is vertical. I'm also going to include the words Better World Day 2020. And I'm going to include those down here because I want the focal point to be on my mindful message, my positive message up here. You can choose to put these words wherever you want, or your quote wherever you want. My straight edge is a little crooked, so I'm just adjusting a little bit. I'm also going to include in mine the Detroit Prep Instagram handle. That way people, if they see the words Better World Day 2020 and they're curious, they can look it up online and see what it's all about. You can include this, you don't have to. So that's where I'm going to be writing that. The focus of my poster is to really make sure that my message is clear, and then I'm using really visually interesting text or text features or fonts. So in my example, I used a couple of different ways of writing. I tried doing some colored and bubble letters. I used some cursive. I used all capital. I made my letters a little bit bolder so they stuck out more. You can choose to write your positive message in any way that you want, as long as it's visually interesting and it's nice and neat so that people can read what you're saying, because we want to make sure we get that positive message out to our community. I'm going to be doing all of this in pencil first so that if I make a mistake, I can erase. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write the word breathe. I'm going to write it in pencil. And I want to use all uppercase letters. I'm trying to kind of eyeball how far apart I need to, how close my letters can be before I run out of room, or how far apart they can be. So I'm trying to space it. So they might look a little bit tall and narrow. That's okay. All right. And I have room for my E, which is awesome, because I was a little worried that I might have to erase and start over. Luckily I didn't. If you want to do a practice draft before you do your final draft to kind of get everything organized, you can go ahead and do that. Put a little period at the end right here. Okay, so I have my word breathe right here. And because I did this one all in uppercase or capital letters, and I printed them, I want to write Better World Today in cursive down here just to create a little variety in my text. And then because this is nice and centered, I want to add the numbers underneath. Again, you guys can write Better World Today 2020 wherever you want and figure that out. It's a little bit off center, so I'm going to go ahead and erase, which is why it's so important to have an eraser and to do everything in pencil first. Perfect. And again, I'm just going to add the Detroit Prep Instagram handle. You do not have to do this if you don't want to. Your choice. I want to make sure that if people have questions, they can get answers. Maybe you could also put like DetroitPrep.org. Your choice. I'm going to put 2016 down here too, since I want to keep everything nice and centered. All right, so this one is pretty simple. I have my positive message, my Better World Day 2020. These two things are required. This is optional. The next thing that I'm going to do before I start to add color, and you can use any coloring tool that you have available. I chose to use markers. You could use markers, colored pencils, crayons. If you want to keep it just black and white with a pen, you can totally do that as well. I'm going to sketch out, though, some doodle designs to make this look a little bit more visually interesting, and I'm going to do that with pencil. So I'm going to go ahead and speed that up, and you can kind of see what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Well, I am all done with my letters and my doodle designs. I'm really happy with the way that it came out so far. I might keep some of these things. I might erase it as I go. I'm going to start to trace everything in marker and make everything a little bit more permanent and colorful. The great thing about doing doodle designs is that doodle designs are really, really simple, and they're really, really pretty. And all you really need to be doing is really simple line patterns, shape patterns. I tried to keep mine as a spring motif just because it's spring right now, and also the word breathe makes me think of the wind and springtime, kind of like a breath of fresh air. So my next step is going to be to add color, make everything a little bit more colorful and beautiful. When you're done with this step, so your first step is to sketch out your quote or your positive message, add the words Better World Day 2020, and then add your doodle designs around. The last step is going to be to add color, kind of like this, and you can kind of see I added some more designs as I went. I traced all of my pencil lines, and then I kind of just added more colors as I went. Because, you know, sometimes designs change as you're working with them. Okay. When you're all done, if you could please submit a picture of your poster to Google Classroom before you hang it up in your window, that would be awesome. And I'm so excited to see what you guys come up with. Use your curiosity and creativity, and I'm sure they're going to be great. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.